So, welcome back to aetutsplus.com. Once again, this is Gottfried Karl Heinrich Hofmann from Robco Picture speaking. And this is our second part of the candle scene we're gonna create using the new options of the Blender 2.5 smoke simulation. And yeah, you can see a little bit of the smoke here, but you see it's very, very thin. And so let's set up the texture and the materials for the domain so we get to see the smoke a little. Once again, density to 0. And I'm gonna put the density scale higher this time, say about 5. I don't want to scatter a lot, so I say set the scattering to 1, and we will need a lot of emission. So I guess 10 will be right. And now let's of course set up the textures, voxel data, and the domain object of course is our cube. And yeah, file format smoke is alright. And let's see here, let's influence the density and not the emission color. Blend mix, actually everything is correct, so now we should be able to do a first render. And yeah, our smoke is quite grainy currently, so let's change the volume material, and that's the step of the integration. We need to reduce the step size quite a lot to get a clean view of this, so let's set it down pretty much. And if you render now, things take quite a bit longer, but you should be able to see a lot more. Yeah, isn't this nice? Isn't this quite nice? Oh, but of course it's not really a candle flame yet. And you see the candle, the part of the candle where the wax is, it's unlit, and that's because we did not set the material to receive transparent under shadow. Because in Blender, when something casts a shadow, and we want and there's transparent parts, just like here in the domain where only the smoke part is not completely transparent, but everything else is transparent. We need to set the all the other objects that get the shadow from this object to receive transparent, or otherwise, it just won't work. And actually, I'd like it the other way around, to have an object that is transparent and you can say cast transparent, but unfortunately it's the opposite, the other way around, and so we had to change 2 material settings where we otherwise would have needed only 1. But let's render once again, and you see quite some light is cast, and here we go. We might also work a little more on the wax material as I see it currently, as it looks right now, but maybe later on. Let's focus on the flame first. We later on will probably need to bake a few times again, but let's first set up some material for the flame. So hit new. Well, let's call it flame, and this one smoke. And the flame one will, as you might already know, once again be a voxel data texture. This time, check by the influence density and emission color. The domain object is once again a cube. Yeah, the cube, our domain cube of course, even though it's no longer a cube. And in the colors, you know everything. Add a ramp and a few more sliders, and change the colors to something that's right about Fury. And here the flame needs just subtle yellowish color, well, right about like this, and maybe a second one, which is once again just a subtle yellowish color with not too much, of a alpha value, and no, nothing happening. Let's see what's up when we render it. It's still white. Yep, and we also already know why. Because we forgot to set the blend from mix to multiply, like I said in the fire tutorial. And now we should have, we should see something, but we don't. Yeah, maybe we add another one of these here and give it a somewhat bluish color or a greenish color to see how the colors are distributed, because the problem is most of the part of the flame has just one certain type of, has just one certain density. And yeah, it's currently mostly green, right? So seems like we need to make this a lot more red. I think there will be some other things, so we can delete this one. Now we got everything is red, and maybe here a little, and well, actually we see that our flame is just not dense enough, and that we actually want it to be a lot bigger also. So yeah, I guess it's time to bake once again and change a few settings beforehand. First, let's add more particles. I say double the amount. This should make things a lot more dense. And yeah, in the physics section, I'll not change the temperature difference, but here let's increase the heat. Twice the heat might be cool. And now let's see what's happening when we're baking. Let's of course first free all bakes and keep our cache clean. Save. And now I'll bake all dynamics and see what's happening. Now let's render once again and see how it looks like. And I guess we might need even a little more density around here, but to get higher flames, or we might want to set the time until it dissolves a little higher, because yeah, the flame it's just not big enough for this kind of wick. So maybe I'll do both. You see, this is all quite a tedious task, and actually I could have given you the correct settings from the beginning, but this way you wouldn't have seen the many steps that are needed to get a good result. So let's first increase the dissolve time a little bit, and yeah, let's also change not the amount of particles, but in the physics panel the density, and up that one quite a lot, so we get when you get denser smoke, it will take longer to dissolve, so our flame will become quite bigger. And yeah, everything else seems to be all right. So yeah, you know the deal. Bake, bake, bake. But first, of course, security measures. Go. So, once again I baked, once again I'm gonna render a preview image, and well, I guess this time we're big enough, and yeah, this is something where, yeah, this is something which with what we can work. So that's actually everything is okay now, and I'll also change the size of the dimension of the render, because I think that I think we can actually get it. Yeah, if you change it this way, and now maybe no. So yeah, and maybe now if you render, we should things should be a bit faster. Even even quite a bit faster. And yeah, now let's go back there and work on the shader a little more. We'll do quite a bit of rendering now. And yeah, at first we need to get this a lot higher up, and red one a little bit farther down, and at the downside we need to get the alpha to about 0, because at the bottom of the candle flame you usually don't see anything yet because there's gas. I mean, at the button in the middle around the wick there's just gas and nothing else. So yeah, seems like the part where the alpha is 0 needs to be a lot farther to the left of the ramp shader. And yeah, okay, that's quite a bit better now, and unfortunately it's just it's just too much. So let me get this down here, and let's see, yeah, maybe even increase the alpha of this a little, and at the end it will be 0 anyways. But this is some task that's it takes quite a while to adjust the shader and to do it correctly. And oh yeah, I still need more room for this. And yeah, we're getting there. We're at least getting there. We'll probably need a second shader on the same type. And now when we hit render, we should have a part that has just one color. And yeah, what we need to do now is we need to work on the bottom part, because it's just not there when you got a candle. It might be a little bluish, but it should be completely transparent. So let's get this color, get a nice blue, just re-render to see how things are looking. And yeah, we got a sort of a blue bulb, but unfortunately nothing more. So let's change a few things, and we might need more density and of course a lot more emission. So let's set the emission to at least 30. Render again. And now we got nearly white at some points, but unfortunately the bottom part is still not so good. So let's increase the emission once again a bit, and now let's see whether we can adjust this even further. So get this up again, and I didn't want to render the animation. I hope this shows up for him. Yeah, I don't think so. Let's render the image. And you see that we are getting a lot of problems with the part at the bottom, and let's just see how far we can get this to at least to work somehow, and then maybe it's time to show you a better way to do this, because this is re-render, 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 but all in all it's getting nowhere. So let's try a different thing, because actually this part at the bottom there, you'll also always have this little line here at the bottom, which we'll see in a second. Here you'll always have this small line if you work on the density and set the shader like it is, because yeah, the smoke at in this area, it just becomes less dense and then it vanishes. It's like anti-aliasing creates half transparent pixels, and this way there's just not really a way to get the small edge to get this away, and this way the candle will always look a bit weird at the bottom, and so we need to set up the shader a little differently. And we can do this by changing it from the source from density to heat, which will give us another cool option, and that is we can work on the density now ourselves very good, and for example make the shader influence the density, which we can see later on. When this is pretty cool because there is no heat setting in the voxel material, so we can change this, and we gotta have a little bit more of control without getting weird effects, because we are working on something that our texture depends on. So now we need to do all this again, because I think we're not gonna see anything. We're not seeing anything. So let's change everything. Here comes something. Okay, and I really guess that's somewhere here we need to... Okay, I guess this will be just one color once again. Maybe not completely, yeah, in the middle it's a little red. And then comes the blue. So let's set things up once again a little differently. Okay. We need to use the preview to find a place where we got both colors now, and in the end we should end up with a candle flame that has no lines at the bottom. And I guess you can see a little where things are going. That's actually working out quite well already. But maybe I think we need to scale up the emitter to get a bigger flame. But all in all, this might work quite well. So now let's actually change stuff once again. So here we got the red part, and here we got alpha value of 0. And the red thing might change to black. And now let's see. Somewhere here there must be the key. Somewhere here around the middle there must be the key to getting a good image. Wow, that's pretty okay, right? Yeah, of course it needs quite some work, so okay, let's get over there. Let's get over there. And yeah, things are starting to get a bit small once again. But you see, the problematic area, at least it's gone now, and we can work on the rest a bit more. And yeah, things are getting quite ugly right now. Very, very ugly, because we need to work on those very, very small scaled tips here. That's just, it's difficult, it's just difficult. So even if we make this here a lot bigger, things are very, very, very small. And now let's get this in here and this here out there, and if we hit F12 now, yeah, everything is quite difficult and tedious, but we'll end up with a quite good candle, I think. It really looks like we're getting it in a good way in the end. So let's make this here even smaller, and this one even smaller, and actually it pretty much looks like at the end that we'll have the minimum resolution. Yeah, now we got our flame for the beginning. It's still a little small. We can make it bigger by changing those values here. And yeah, actually I think the best way would be to change everything, make it two on the left, and now you can check the next one, and 2 to the left, and the next one, I guess it's quite okay. And now let's see once again, and yeah, this is quite some task. Believe me, this is quite tedious, and you see we get the first problem with banding here. So I guess it might make more sense, because to get rid of this banding, we just don't have enough color variations anymore, enough steps in here. So what we need to do is we need to increase the heat of our emitter. And we can do this by, yeah, basically we need to bake again. And here it is the temperature difference. Okay, now, sorry, we need to change the temperature difference of the emitter. And I'm gonna change it to 2, which should allow us to have a broader spectrum, and also the flame should be a little bigger. And while I'm at this, I'll also change the density to make things a little bigger. So yeah, once again, it's baking time for us. And there's also something I need to change, and that's it. I should start with using high resolution. And in high resolution, there are now quite a few more options. At first, we can smooth out our emitter, which means at the beginning, in the earlier versions of Blender 2.5, the emitter with high resolution was blocks. So you could actually see the cells where the smoke was generated. And in the new version, those are smoothed out and have now a more rounded circular shape, which actually smoothes your emitter quite a bit. And the second thing that's really cool is that we can set the strength of the noise to a value below 1, like for example 0, or let's set it to 0.01. And that actually means that we're only making the simulation sharper, but don't change the style. And if you remember, this was one of the things I had pointed out quite much, that once you use high resolution, you will drastically change the style of your smoke, but that's no more. So now you can actually start up with a low resolution simulation and go up to high resolution later on. The reason why we are needing this is because actually it just makes it sharper, but it also still changes the density distribution towards the edges. And that will still change the style of our flame, but it won't change your style if you say have just smoke. And that's already pretty cool, and I really thank the developers. Thank you, Mika, for for creating this all those improvements to the smoke simulation. Oh, and don't forget to set up a high resolution cache too, because otherwise things just won't work out. What's wrong with the high resolution cache? I've got smoke high resolution set on. I've got it to show. And the cache won't work. We need to free all bakes before we can set the amount of frames and set up our cache. So yeah, let's clean things up. Save our file. And now once again we can bake. Well, I've changed a few things because I don't want to bore you. At first I increased the size of the emitter to get a broader flame. And secondly I added more high resolution. I've got a high res of 2, which should be our final resolution now, and I've also changed the number of particles from 20,000 to 30,000 because our emitter has gone bigger. And now let's see how things are looking now. And yeah, you see we just need to change the shader, and then I think we get a quite good candle flame. So let's work on this. Currently everything is at the top, so we need to get everything a little bit towards the right. And yeah, so let's see how things are looking now. Yeah, still not enough on the right. And at the top there, the flame is, maybe I should increase the size of the domain, but let's see how good we can get the flame. So first of all, get this farther down. Yeah, this is going quite correctly, and the end of the red part should also be a bit smaller. And yeah, actually we can work a lot better now because we don't need to set them this near to each other. And I think we'll run into problems down here, but there should still be a part at the right where there's... Actually, we should try to keep the part on the right where there's no... Where there's... we should just get... At here in this area, we should try to get a part where you don't see anything, just like here. And the part on the bottom doesn't matter because we can set the emitter to be inside of the wax, so we won't see this part. And at the top, we need a little more room for the flame, right? So this is gonna be still difficult. Yeah, we need to set to get more room for the flame. We need to add another one here that's also of this emission-like color, and let's maybe make it a little more orange, but still without any alpha. Yeah, this is how the flame looks now. I guess we can get the part even further by increasing the brightness. Then we should get a lot more parts that are white of the flame. Yeah, that's quite some candle flame now, and the blue parts and the parts at the bottom still need a lot of work. This is gonna be a little difficult, so let's see how things are changing. I've moved the blue part a little bit more to the right, so yeah, things are getting quite difficult down here, but things should work out early enough. Actually, I think that we might be able to let the flames burn higher by changing this here upwards and still increase the alpha a little. Actually, let's increase the alpha to be completely, and this here even a little bit more upwards, and now let's see. It's interesting how the top is a lot easier than the bottom, right? And the tip is now already touching the border of our domain, which really is a little bit low, I say. But if we change this down here, we should get quite a bit more sharpness. And yeah, the big problem still lies in the bottom of the candle flame. The bottom is what kind of worries me right now, because the top is looking very, very good, actually. Really, really good. I'd still change it a little bit, but I guess that's personal preference, and the difficult part is the bottom as I see it. Yeah, the difficult part is really, really the bottom of the flame. Ooh, that's not gonna be easy as I see. Changing this, maybe we still need to bake once again with somewhat different settings, but let me see here, maybe if I put this more towards this direction and add yet another one, like here, that's yeah, that's a little I didn't use that many handles the first time I created this. Sorry for the interruption. I just made a few more changes and this took a while, and since I didn't want to bore you, I made them off screen. Well, you get the blend file for download, so I don't think that's much of a problem if I didn't do this on screen and bored you to death with using those lines and dragging them to the left and to the right, and yeah, it's just not so cool. So let's head over to do compositing and maybe a few more final brush ups. And well, one thing we're gonna get rid of is this part at the bottom, because fortunately we've got now a part where there's no rim, no edge to be seen, and this part at the bottom we can just mask it out in the compositor, and the candle flame will get a nice glow, because yeah, you know, things like candle flames are always glowing when you look in them. So we'll add this too, and we'll separate the layers for the compositing, and what we're also gonna do is maybe change the size and the colors of the flame even inside the compositor if the scaling, if the proportions don't match like we want them. So the next part will be the part where the real fun begins, and it won't be as tedious as this what you've just witnessed. So see you in a while.